Conover, and today we've got Ben Sheppard on as a repeat guest, and we're going through basically entrepreneurial stories, getting tips and ideas, and I get to learn right alongside the audience as I interview successful business owners. And today, Ben, you're a repeat. We've had a couple repeats on, but what's great about I think these repeat episodes is we don't have to spend as much time on the story part. We kind of got through some of that on the first initial episode. If people want to go back and hear your story, they can go back and track that episode. Today, we can get right into just some basic how-tos and some things that'll help other aspiring business owners. There's definitely a wide range of audience that'll end up watching this. It won't just be people maybe in the financial services sector like what you and I are in. It'll be people from different industries. I think the topic that I'm very curious about getting your take on this. Marketing would be something that I think most entrepreneurs struggle with. They don't buy into it wholeheartedly. They don't go the extra mile in that space. And I would love to talk about marketing today as a topic, and maybe talk a little bit about, in the beginning here, some of the things that you did initially versus maybe what you do today that might be different from a marketing standpoint.
Sure. I'm surprised anyone listened to you and me the first time. So maybe you're just hoping that somebody
Your sarcasm is appreciated. Thank you.
The second time. No, I think marketing is really to me more about scheduling it. I think that's the issue. Whether it's in our business or another business, is you really have to map it out and schedule it. And for me, I didn't actually like any of that. I really knew if I could build a client base, that I'm just going to take really, really good care of them, and then referrals would explode. So I think internal marketing is obviously always better than external marketing, in terms of just bringing more value to your existing clients or customers, and they'll refer you to everybody. But for me, John, it was just about a block calendar where I just said, I don't like this, but I'm just going to block out 4-5 hours a day when I was starting. And I would rotate all my forms of marketing so it didn't feel like Groundhog Day, right? I didn't want to do one thing every single day. And then it was just like, oh my God, not only do I hate marketing, but I got to do the same darn thing every day. So there's about 20 different ways that I generated leads. And there was probably 5 to 10 of them that were the most effective. But I just think the practice of, for me, it was 8 to 12 every single day, whether I felt like doing it or not. Essentially did that for 3 years. And that formed the foundation where I really never had to do it again. Now, if I want to do some additional growth, I'll go back to that on a smaller scale. But I think if you've got listeners on here that have never been an entrepreneur, have never had their own business, that the prize is way more important than the price that you have to pay. So that's really important, because you're more success conscious than image conscious, right? You don't care what people think about you. You realize that I've got a product, or I've got solutions or strategies that put people in a much better situation. So I'm going to talk to a lot of people. I'm going to get a lot of no's, but if I get a lot of no's, that means I get a lot of yeses. So I feel like non-entrepreneurs, non-business owners, non-successful people waste way too much time worrying about what broke, unsuccessful, mediocre people think, right? So that's not good. So 1, you got to schedule it. 2, you've got to learn quickly that stop worrying about people that aren't paying your bills. Think about you. And then 3, you just got to really brand yourself and tell your story, right? I think what I hear so often is people just like talking too much, word vomiting on people. But it's like, how many times are you going to tell your story every single day?
Hmm.
Because in so many businesses, it's like, oh, you're giving people stats and you're giving people facts. And I just don't think anybody cares about that. So regardless of the business that you're in, is why are you different than everybody else in your industry? What separates you? What makes you better? And you just tell that story. You keep telling that story. And so I think to answer your question, I mean, there's obviously different ways to market, but I think some of the key things is again, have 5 to 10, because if one area of marketing is not going well, then you've got other ways that you're doing it, so you'll be more consistent. That's important. Again, schedule it. So, you schedule success. Success is never an accident. I just knew that there was zero chance that I wasn't going to be successful because I was willing to schedule it. So that's extremely important. And again, just make it part of your day. So I think that scheduling it in the calendar to me is way more important than having the best marketing plan in the world. Because you can know things that are effective, but if you don't go put it to work or implement it, who cares, right? It's applied knowledge that matters.
And I heard you say something that the audience probably should, it should be doubled down on it. You did it consistently. It wasn't a stop and start thing. You did it consistently for 3 years. And I think a lot of people have a hard time staying consistent for 3 months, let alone 3
How about
years.
a week? How about a week?
Yeah. How about 3 days? Like,
yeah.
So, there's the uglies, it's paying the price. It's the uglies. It's the things that a lot of entrepreneurs out there that they want to be successful. They want to be successful in business. They don't want to do the uglies for 3 years. And I think that's a big separator. What part, when you talk about the different strategies, what are some of the universal strategies that you think translate well into other businesses, as well as the one that you and I are in? You mentioned 20 of them, but that's impressive. 20 is a lot.
Right. And let's back up too, because what you just said was really, really important, is regardless of the business, the momentum and the compounding effects of winning that day for an extended period of time. So the reason most people aren't successful is their focus is terrible. Right. So again, I scheduled it. I wanted to make success inevitable. The prize was big enough. The price really didn't matter to me. But again, to your point, you do it a week, a month, 2 months, it's not enough. You do it for an extended period of time, and then really that compounds out forever. And what's 3 years of my life compared to somebody that rents their life away to an employer for 40 years that doesn't give a rip about them just to have a little bit of money in their 401k? So to me, it's a perspective thing. Like, what's the big deal here?
Right.
So for me, man, some of my
talk about these strategies.
Yeah. So networking was a big deal. Obviously in our business and financial services, networking with CPAs, estate attorneys, personal injury attorneys, mortgage brokers, realtors, et cetera, providing value to them, interviewing them, letting them know I'm always looking for really good people to refer my clients to. I don't do tax planning. I don't do estate planning. So my clients need help with that. So surrounding clients with a really good team, that concept became really easy to me. And obviously, if a CPA has 1,500 clients, I'm going to get a good chunk of them based on our reciprocal relationship, and vice versa, right? I'm going to give them a ton of value, and my clients are going to get a ton of value. So that was a big part of it.
Well, okay, so pause for a second, because somebody in the cosmetology industry that does nails, they're going to want to network with people who do hair. Right. They're going to want to network with people who do plastic surgery. They're going to want to network with people who do whatever. It's something related to the beauty industry. They're going to want to network with other professionals that are not in competition with them, but are complementary. And somebody would ask a good accountant, they would say, well, who do you recommend as a good advisor? Because they expect the people in relative fields, like in related fields, they expect them to know the other professionals that are good. A good realtor is supposed to know a good mortgage broker. So for anybody that's listening, you find yourself in an industry, you have to identify the 4 or 5 other professionals in your industry that are not in competition with you, but that are complementary. And what you said, what do you go interview them over coffee? Is that what you do?
Yeah, I would call them and say, again, I'm interviewing CPAs right now. I've seen some good reviews, or I heard good things about you. Could I meet you for coffee Monday or Tuesday to see if it would make sense to help each other out from a networking standpoint? And then I would meet with them and kind of grill them on their business, right? In terms of, okay, what's your niche? How did you get started in this? What's a good lead for you? Why are you different from other CPAs? And just learn about their business, right? So I think the approach of with any form of marketing, even outside of networking, is how can I provide value to people first? Because I think the challenge in today's world is, and again, I'm not on social media. If you want help with marketing, call my wife in terms of on social media. But the premise was always, how many people are online just trying to, inbox everybody, message the whole world, and they just look like an idiot because it's like this person's just trying to sell me something. I don't even know them, right? So relationships are what matters, not transactions. So I looked at it and said, well, if I get 5 great professionals in all these different categories, every time that they run into someone, they're going to refer me. And then same thing with my clients, right? So I looked at it and said, well, there's easy marketing and bad marketing. And the reason that people always stay in a cold market is they never really form really, really solid relationships. So in our business, when our target market oftentimes is 60 and older, a lot of those people aren't on social media a ton. Right. So it does become more referral based. It does become more, I'm doing a seminar at a company or a wellness workshop type of thing, and I meet people that way. So sometimes, of course, you've got to think outside of the box. I think marketing is, unfortunately, a lot of people don't truly understand their target market. They're saying the wrong things to the wrong people. I think that happens, but so networking, and then it was seminars and wellness workshops, because my thought there is I'm going to provide value to a room of 30, 40 people, and they're all going to want to become my client afterwards, but it's a way for me to communicate to a lot of people and kind of condense time frames, right? So that was a huge part of what I did. Small businesses was just a huge part of what we do. Again, some of it was networking, but some of it was helping with their personal stuff, providing them value. And then again, I can go all down the line, but
yeah, not all 20, but I think as you worked, so the nature of, again, we'll use another industry as an example. Somebody that does hair, they're going to spend 45 minutes with a client. They're going to spend an hour with a client doing their hair. They might see 5 clients in a day. Okay, so they're going to see 5 clients, 5 hours of doing hair, right? But that's not the work. It's another 4 or 5 hours on top of that of marketing the business that they're in, right? For you, you're going to sit down with a family, you're going to do their 401k rollover, you're going to do a Roth IRA, you're going to do their insurance, and you're going to spend an hour with them. And you might have 4 or 5 clients in a day that you're going to see. You're going to spend 4 or 5 hours sitting with the clients. Someone who's starting a business might not have 4 or 5 clients in a day like that. It's 4 or 5 hours, it's 8 hours, it's 10 hours of marketing. until you have enough clients every day that you don't have enough time to market your business, because the marketing led to you having all these clients. But all that marketing, all that work that you were doing to market the business is the time consuming part on the front end. And you do more of that than you do meeting with clients sometimes in the beginning. The idea being that marketing has to lead somewhere. And I think the big thing that I know you and Samantha have done this, I've done this, but you've built up a database of names, emails, phone numbers, a CRM, a client relationship manager, a database of a list, basically. All the marketing led to a list. Talk about that list and how you use it.
Yeah, so before the list, I think the two things, just to kind of piggyback on what you said, that to me are really, really important from a marketing perspective is I think a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners that are just starting have this negative thinking about referrals, that if I ask for referrals, it means I'm not successful. It's actually the opposite of that. Because I'm so convicted that I can make a difference in people's lives and provide so much value that I think that if this family refers me to 5 family members or 5 friends, I might be the only hope that these people get help, whether it's retiring earlier, getting out of debt, whatever, right? That I'm convicted that a true professional that's really, really good at their craft, a key thing is I only work with referrals. I say that all the time. So you want your clients and your prospective referrals to feel like they're a part of a selective group. John, the only reason I'm calling you is so-and-so said some really good things about you. I only work with referrals, right? So we got to get this mindset out that if you're good, you'll demand referrals, because a true professional not only asks for referrals, but they get referrals because it's partnering with that person to make a difference in their introduction's life. So that's important, number one. The second thing that you hit on is I think you got to be very careful that you just are not too up in people's face. So what I used to do when I first started, it was always an indirect approach. So let's just say you're a prospective client. I would say, hey, John, I know you're probably already set and you definitely wouldn't be interested. But I find good people know good people. Could I just stop by on Monday, share with you exactly what I'm doing to help my clients? Because you might know people that you can introduce me to, right? And if I said that 10 times, why would someone say no to that, right? Very few times, because it's like pressure's off. But then 9 times out of 10, they wanted to become a client once I was able to share with them a few things about who we are, what we do, how we help people. So if more people listening to this that are starting out would take an indirect approach and take the pressure off and start complimenting people and asking them for referrals, your success rate is going to go through the roof.
That's gold.
People that are in a multi-level marketing type company and they're just always trying to recruit people and go right at them, whether it's on social media, in person, everyone's and their brother is going to be turned off. But if you transition to, I'm opening up another office, I know you probably wouldn't be interested. You're probably set. Could I, again, buy you coffee, just share with you what the opportunity looks like? That's a different conversation.
Wow.
So you build a relationship first, you provide value first, you compliment first. And again, you're transitioning from a transaction to a relationship, which to me, that's what marketing's all about. So I think people could save themselves a ton of headache and time by using an indirect approach and getting rid of their bad thinking. And when it comes to referrals, sorry, what was your real question? You had a question.
So you built the marketing plan.
What to do with your existing client?
Well, no, not the existing clients only, because the clients are part of your list, but there's a database that was built through marketing that database has clients and prospective clients in it.
Yep. Yeah,
What do
it's
you,
just reminding people, like in a professional, great way, reminding people that you're here and your opportunities to help them. So if anyone's got spam emails that are just like, this is annoying, this is always a waste of my time, try to design like just let's just use an email campaign, but something that's providing real value where people will actually read it, they'll actually open it, they'll actually go through it. Oh, John's providing a lot of value. He's educating me. I didn't think about that. So what ways can you bring your list value? That to me is a really good starting point
I love
because
that.
people will buy because of course they like you and trust you. And it's like John's providing me all this value. And he hasn't even asked me for my business yet, right? So that I think again, that's a key thing because you become more trustworthy, right?
Yeah, you've made a lot of deposits before you've asked for a withdrawal, right?
Correct. Yep.
People aren't making enough deposits.
Yep.
They're always asking for the withdrawal.
Yep.
Um, why so why do you think the failure rate, besides marketing, time management, why do you think the failure rate for small businesses getting started, why do you think it's so high?
Um,
The stats would say it's a high probability people
yeah,
don't make it.
so I think it's a couple things. Obviously it's oftentimes with businesses you put more into it than what you get out. So unfortunately people don't stick it out long enough to reap the rewards because they have too many expenses in the beginning. Second thing, of course, maybe not having a mentor or someone that has already been successful in what you're trying to do and copy them. I think that's important. That's why franchises, by the way, are significantly more successful, is because there are already systems involved. So the system is what works, but unfortunately, a lot of people that aren't doing a franchise just don't even think about stuff like that. They don't have a system. And of course, they fail. And of course, with an entrepreneur, there's a grind period. So call it the world that we live in, where people are getting soft, in my opinion. Right? My
Hmm.
dad taught me to work hard, taught me to grind. I'm very thankful that he taught me to, put God first and work hard. Those are the obviously two most important things that he taught me. But unfortunately, John, I think most people think like an employee. I think unfortunately too many people are entitled. They want something without working for it. And we can go on for hours. Maybe that's an issue with parenting. Maybe that's an issue with the school system. Whatever it is, but regardless of the crazy world that we live in, we're still in a country by far that if you put your head down and go to work, you can accomplish anything that you want to. So I think people think that having their own business is extremely sexy. It sounds lucrative. Oftentimes it's very lucrative, but they're not willing to grind for a couple years, right? I mean, pick a billionaire, pick a very successful business person around, and they grinded for a certain period of time,
Uninterrupted.
uninterrupted, with a
Yeah.
tremendous amount of focus.
Yep.
And this whole idea of balance, I mean, we could talk for hours about that, but you're going to be a little bit unbalanced getting your business off the ground. I'm not a component of ignoring family and ignoring everything else in your life, but you've got to probably be a little bit unbalanced for a couple years. I was unbalanced for about 3 years, but now I'm very thankful for my life. So it was worth it to be unbalanced for 3 years. But I think going into it, that's the key thing is someone willing to grind for a couple years and pay the price and think like an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur should focus on results. An employee thinks about, I'm going to punch my time clock from 9 to 5 and I expect a certain amount of money. An entrepreneur is more of a work creator and more about getting results. And of course, profits are better than wages, but unfortunately, people aren't willing to pay the price for a couple of years to get it off the ground.
Last thing, because I have a feeling you'll have a list on this too, because if you're anything like me, I came into the business world and I was very, very hungry to learn, and I wanted to learn from other people that were more successful. So there were two sources for me that allowed me to learn business, learn my craft, but learn business in general. And that was having mentors, and it was having books to read. What were some of the top maybe 5 or 6, 7 books that any entrepreneur today should pick up first? These are the first ones they should knock out.
Oh man, I thought Think and Grow Rich was a good one by Napoleon Hill. I thought Success is Never an Accident by Tommy Newberry. I found extremely impactful, and that goes into the self-discipline and the grind that I just talked about. You know, I was I've been a Christian since I was 5 years old, so of course the Bible is full of great principles about success in business, success in money. That's been a big part of my life. Trying to think of the other great ones, man. There's been so many. I know we are talking about networking earlier. You know, the book Never Eat Lunch Alone, you know, talks a lot about forming good relationships.
I say, I think I have that one on my shelf.
You know, Carnegie's book about what is it? How to win friends and influence people.
Yeah, maybe read that one again, Ben.
I mean, you know, those are just some that come to mind. I mean, you know, I think, man, I'm just drawing a blank, buddy. There's this.
Well,
No, I think,
I'll rattle off.
I think the key thing with the books too is that I think you have to have a self-improvement plan, just like I mapped out the marketing where you actually schedule it, right? So it's,
Yeah.
you know, spiritual fitness, physical fitness, reading. You know, some people might be more into podcasts, but is that part of your daily routine? I think
Yeah, it's like you create a diet. You create a nutrition diet when you want to lose weight. You create a self-improvement diet when you want to start developing new skills and new mindsets. I was going to give the audience my top few, like Skill with People by Les Giblin was one of my favorites. The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber, another good one. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. 177 Mental Toughness Secrets of the World Class by Steve Siebold. The Wisdom of Andrew Carnegie as Told to Napoleon Hill, I thought was even a better version than Think and Grow Rich. Good to Great by Jim Collins. There's books out there on everything. I'm in the middle of one, the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People right now. I'm actually in the middle of 2 books. One's called The Business Card. Have you heard of this book, Ben? It's the Index Card Business Plan.
I've not.
It's incredible. It's to help people who are getting started simplify their business plan. If you can fit your business plan, your daily routine on a 3x5 index card, and creates more simplicity and simply stack days. I think that was something you brought up earlier, was the consistency, stacking days, but it doesn't have to be a complex day. It could be a very simple day, but you stack it over time. Who are some of the mentors, whether in our business or outside, that influenced you? You paid very close attention to them. You stuck close with them. They've helped you over the years. Who are some of those mentors?
Yeah, so the other book I just was thinking about that was very impactful is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, because I feel like, and what the premise of the book is, there is a tremendously large gap between where we are in our God-given potential, but our issue is our thinking sucks. It really does. My favorite scripture in the Bible is, so a man thinks, so is he, because it starts with your thoughts, and that really governs your entire life. And people are just very, very mentally weak, right? We've all heard the quote Henry Ford said, if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't, right? But it's absolutely true in business, because if you don't visualize it happening or see it happening, you're not going to put forth the work or the plan to accomplish the goal. And you also just hit on a really good thing, is it's not just what you read or what you listen to, but it's who you hang out with. So you got to be intentional about that. I do find the older I get, my circle absolutely has gotten significantly smaller, because I think life's too short to really hang out with the people that, probably you shouldn't be hanging out with. So over the years, I've been intentional about trying to form relationships with people that are better than me, people that are more successful than me, people that have a higher net worth than me. And one thing to kind of contemplate as you listen to this is, think of your 10 friends and the average income, that's probably your income. Because again, you're going to become like who you hang out with. My kids are 15 and 12, and my wife and I are very, very keen on who are their friends, because it's the same thing with kids. You're going to become like who you hang out with. So if you hang out with 9 broke people, their only advice is how to become the 10th. And especially in finance, because that's been our world, right? I just find that if you ask me what's the biggest difference between the wealthy, the middle class, and the poor, it's how far down the road that they're thinking, right? Yeah. Wealthy, it's like, how does this impact my kids, my grandkids, way down the road? Middle class are thinking about their next vacation, and then the poor are just living with a bunch of regret. But unfortunately, they have that blueprint, if you will, because of the thinking, because their family situation, their friend situation, they're absolutely hanging out with the wrong people. So,
wow,
absolutely. And those of you that are starting a business, find somebody in your industry that's very, very good, multiple people, call them up, buy them coffee, buy them lunch. You're going to be blown away how many people take you up on that and just pick their brain.
Brilliant. So for the audience listening in, we didn't have like a script for today. I told Ben at the beginning, I was like, all right, maybe we'll talk a little about marketing, but then other stuff comes up. And Ben, thank you just for your time. I know your time is valuable. Appreciate it. We'll definitely have to get out and get golfing next year for sure.
Sounds good. Looking forward to taking more of your money on the golf.
Hey, let's not put that out in the public. Okay. I have a reputation to maintain. No, but thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. And we'll definitely do this again.
All right, bud. All right, man. See ya.